so first up, we have an appointment. The Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate confirmed the Grand Marshal's appointment of Jennifer Wilcox to the position of Graduate Senator following the recommendation of the Graduate Council, effective immediately. Before I turn this over to Jen, according to the Graduate Council bylaws, the Grad Council recommends these appointments to the Grand Marshal. The Grand Marshal fills these vacancies. So that's the process being followed here. Jen, would you like to speak?
Sure. So, hi everybody. My name is Jen Wilcox. I'm a chemistry PhD student here at RPI. I've previously served on the School of Science Graduate Student Council, and I'm really excited to join all of you here.
Okay, queue is now open. Any questions for Jen? Any comments? Okay, seeing none, we move to vote. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Motion passes 14-01. Okay, so next up we have one piece of legislation that Morgan is going to introduce. The Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the formation of the Community Relations Committee for the duration of the 45th Student Senate, effective immediately. The Community Relations Committee is a group that existed under the Senate for several years before being disbanded in 2013, following increased interest in community service last year and an interest in Morgan in leading this group. We've chosen to reestablish it, and Morgan's going to introduce the guidelines that the group's going to operate under.
Okay, so pardon me for 1 second. We were going to have a projector, but then that didn't happen. So I'm just going to be, would you like me to do it from here?
Whatever you prefer.
I'll do it from right here, so we can hopefully cut down on a little bit of time. Okay, so I'm going to be going over what community relations, what's it going to be. So the overview today that I'm going to be covering is the background, purpose, the project and service events, structure, membership, and advertising. And then afterwards, I'll open it up for questions. So the background was we saw a disconnect between RPI and the RPI student body and Troy, and really wanted to bridge that gap there. Then in addition to that, a lot of students were interested in community service, and we want to create an outlet for the greater RPI community on that aspect. And in addition to this, we've been attending the administration's community relations committee to really make sure that there's student input in with that group. And then also in addition to that, we spoke with Troy's bid and also the City of Troy representatives, and they're on board also if we would like to go ahead and form this committee. So the purpose I'm going to read you right now, considering it's not up on the projector right now. So the purpose is to harness the skills and resources of the Rensselaer student community by strengthening the bonds between the RPI student body and the Troy community at large. So that's pretty much a broad umbrella that we're going to be refining as the year goes on, but right now we have projects that I'm going to be going over next that we're really going to be focusing on. So the projects and the community service that we will be focusing on is a partnership with the Troy businesses, making sure that we get students into Troy and support that community, because then in return they'll support us better. Then also we're going to be creating a volunteer database for any RPI students who would like to volunteer on a regular basis and get information easier that way. In addition to that, we will be holding one volunteer event day a semester, where pretty much what's it going to be is a day full of events or projects that students can work on in the greater Troy community to really make a large impact here at home and really make it apparent that RPI students are a force to be reckoned with in the community. Then also we've been approached to have student participation in the neighborhood associations, especially in the areas where students are living at, and really having that dialogue. The last thing is we've been invited to work with the comprehensive plan in Troy, which is pretty much the overhaul of Troy and really making improvements both in downtown Troy and in the greater Troy community. Okay, next I'm going to be talking about structure. So right now, how we're hoping to structure this is establish it as an ad hoc committee for one pilot year, just kind of seeing whether or not it's going to work and whether or not students really have a solid interest in the organization. And then at the end of the year, we're going to be having an end of year assessment to see where and what we want to do with it later on down the road. There will be weekly meetings that we will be holding just to make sure that we get the work done in a timely manner and getting people as involved as possible. Then also we're going to be having delegates to Troy, the bid, and also the neighborhood associations, just really making sure that dialogue is open. And then also, sadly, this committee will not count towards senators' committee requirements. We would love to have you on this, but it's not going to count towards the 2 committee requirements for the year. So the membership that we have so far, we're hoping that any of you are dedicated or interested in joining, that you would. Otherwise, we have a lot of interest from Greek life already and also service organizations. I've been approached by a few groups already and they're waiting to hear back. And lastly, the current projected membership. I have about 6 to 7 students already confirmed for once this committee is running, and we've already started talking about meetings and how things are going to be running there. So kind of after this legislation is passed through, we'll be jumping right on into it. Okay, and then lastly, the advertising for how the group is going to be working is through social media. We're going to be, of course, using Facebook and event pages to really get the RPI community involved in this, and Twitter through the student government, just trying to get that dialogue open, keeping events really prepared and like done ahead of time, making sure we have everything in order there. We're going to be posting flyers around the school about this committee if the general RPI community would like to join. And then we're also going to be using Concerto just to kind of advertise the events that are going to be happening. And then so in conclusion, I covered the background, the purpose, project and service requirements, structure, membership, and advertising. And at this point in time, I would like to open it up for any questions you may have.
Queue's open. Yeah, Tina will check the queue.
Are there any groups which explicitly require community service that would definitely benefit from this committee?
I know from personal experience, Greek Life does require a certain amount of service hours, so they are mostly the people who have come and approached me about this, but also I believe some honor societies require it also.
Just to clarify, I know like on campus right now we already have a lot of community service organizations, so would this differ from those other organizations in making an effort to bring those organizations more together? Yes. Or would it just be a whole new community service?
So pretty much the purpose of it is it's community service in this committee is a 2-part plan. One is to create a volunteer database. So if students are not involved in those committees or in those clubs or organizations, those clubs and organizations will be able to reach out to those students and really make that connection. For example, we're going to have, if students want to work like with people or with things such as Habitat for Humanity, really structuring the volunteer database that they're easily contacted that way. And then the volunteer event would probably be all the organizations together putting on the event and just kind of fostering that relationship and getting them in an organized manner.
James?
I'm going to give just a point of information that I know at least for most Greek houses they have to do 5 hours per member, and so when we've got 1,000 members, that's a lot of hours that we need to do, and we're all willing to give that back to the community. So.
Okay, any further questions?
This database that you mentioned, what is it exactly going to be holding and who is it going to be accessible by?
We're still going to be figuring that out in the committee. This is just kind of the broad project idea that we have, and we're going to really dive into that to make sure it's accessible to people. But also, most likely how it's going to work is the organizations are going to be coming to us, and then we'll be emailing out. So we kind of, the volunteer list will not be bombarded with emails, because then no one's going to be using it.
Sorry for the back. So will this database be holding names of people who are interested with helping, or?
Names and emails.
Thank you.
And it would be an optional opt-in, so it's all based on whether or not students want to do that.
Isn't there a group over in Doso? Have you talked to them yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Or do you mean the?
Community
Advocates.
Advocates. They just put a note out today morning now.
Okay, I
Okay.
haven't seen that. But thank you.
What's Doso?
Dean of Students Office. Community Advocates is run kind of under Cynthia Smith, the Assistant Dean of Students. They do a lot of pipeline programs and similar community enhancement groups. Okay. Seeing no further comments, we move to vote. Once again, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate approves the formation of the Community Relations Committee for the duration of the 45th Student Senate, effective immediately. All those in favor? Hold them high, guys. Give us a second. All opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes 17-0-0.
Computers to do that.
So, next up, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate confirms the Grand Marshal's appointment of Morgan Schweitzer as chair of the Community Relations Committee, effective immediately. So moved by Tina, seconded by Morgan. Do you want to say any words?
Okay. So the reason why I wanted to really work on this committee is because of my love of Troy. Since my freshman year, I go down there just about every weekend. I know majority of the business owners down there and really are able to make connections with them. Then also I've experience with working with the administration over the summer. I was a representative for the Senate and also for the GM in the committee, the Institute's Community Relations Committee, and then in addition to that, I also worked on Welcome Fest, which was the big event during NRB week, and got to really work closely with both Aaron from the BID and Monica from the city of Troy, and just really making those connections which will help move this community forward in projects further down the road.
All right. Queue is open. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Once again, the Rensselaer Union 45th Student Senate confirms the Grand Marshal's appointment of Morgan Schweitzer as chair of the Community Relations Committee, effective immediately. So moved by Tina, seconded by Morgan. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes 16-0-1. All right, that And these are motions for the day. As I mentioned before, Erin will be arriving at 7 p.m. as our guest speaker. Before that, however, there's one other item you might see on the agenda, which is the Grubhub campus tour. I sent out a description of this proposed event with the agenda yesterday, and I just want to I want to cue an informal discussion here to see what you guys think about this event, see if there's any interest really in offering them the opportunity to come to campus. We're going to keep this on cue. There is no motion on the table, this is just an informal discussion. So queue is now open.
Marcus?
Kyle, could you give us an informed description of what Grubhub does, just as a refresher?
Sure. So Grubhub is a mobile app that is used frequently by colleges, universities, and other institutions and organizations to let people view local food options in the area and often order in. So it's just a way to experience more of the local businesses. It's often viewed as a very beneficial service to the community they're a part of. They are for profit. It is a business, and they are of course looking to make a profit at this school. But as far as I'm aware, this event is marketing their opportunities to us.
Paul?
Oh, no, that was just essentially what Marcus asked.
Okay. James?
Do you have any idea when they would be coming, or it's just in the future?
This is just something that was brought up to us. We haven't, no details have been worked out yet. We're just vetting for interest.
The queue is open.
Question from Joe and Holly. I know the union has worked more with them. Is there any feedback of
Grubhub?
Yeah.
No, we haven't worked with them. I would say things to consider is can students use is it RAD? I don't think they could use RAD with it. So what benefit is RPI going to get from having Grubhub here? Because a lot of those vendors do take RAD, but they don't take RAD through Grubhub. I don't know, it's just a thought. But no, we don't work directly with Grubhub. I'm sorry, I just.
Yeah, I was thinking of something.
Just say after this initial visit, is Grubhub the type of service that stays on college campuses? Is that, do you know, an end goal? So I'm just wondering eventually if that would have a conflict with Sodexo. I know that's down the road, but I was curious.
Sort of from my knowledge of it, it's kind of like a website that just different businesses in the area can, I guess, either register with or something. So you can just open up the website and see who's kind of in your area who can deliver food to you, and then you can just place your order online, and it's kind of like an online delivery website that just has a bunch of different sites who have, or restaurants who have memberships with them. So it's kind of, will just be sort of showing the options in Troy you have so people know about it, which is kind of it's stuff that's there already, so if anything, it'll just have the benefit of students will be happier because they know what choices they really have available since they're there anyways.
James?
It already got
Mike?
Yeah, it is a website, so the best thing that can happen here is that more businesses join it, and then you can order from more places. By buying them on campus, not staying on campus, not invest in us anyway. So it's not a huge deal. It's only beneficial.
The queue is open. Kyle?
So I guess my next question is, we kind of understand what they're offering here. Is this something that you feel would be beneficial to the student body? And along with that, is this something that anyone in this group would have interest in?
Roshana?
If they're coming here for promotions and give away free stuff, I say I'm all for it, as long as we don't commit to anything. Because if they need services or permissions on our end to actually run their business, which I don't think they do because they're a mobile app, then as long as it doesn't cost us anything, it's no harm.
The queue is open. Mason?
I don't see an issue with it. Again, I guess everyone's reiterating this, but like their website already has businesses in Troy logged. You can actually, I'm looking at it right now, you can actually like place orders and stuff right now for Red and Blue in different businesses. So all it's going to do really is raise awareness among students like, hey, there's this app you could possibly use. So worst case scenario, we get free stuff. And best case scenario, students learn about something they can actually use to order food. So I don't see how it could be of any issue.
Paul?
I think one of the constant or more frequent complaints that students on campus seem to have is either the lack of food choices or kind of different griping about they don't like the food or they wish there was more variety or a higher quality. So if anything, it's just kind of opening the student body's options to more of what's available nearby. And I know a lot from using the site before, a decent number of them have options for like free delivery for orders of a certain amount or whatever. So it's just, you know, creating more awareness and more business for businesses in Troy, so, yeah.
Okay.
Lexi raised a point earlier that I don't know if it was addressed. We have a partnership with Sodexo this year, and it's a very promising partnership and a priority of this Senate. Do we feel that pursuing this event would conflict at all with that partnership?
Mike?
In what way?
So, simply put, Sodexo is a for-profit organization that this university has an exclusivity agreement with. Grubhub, while a definitely beneficial service to the community and to students that use their services, is also a for-profit group, both of which specialize in food.
Mason?
I think Alex De Silva really touched on it when he visited us the first Senate meeting, where they want to sort of expand the options for students and enhance our experience here on campus, providing us the best things that they can. And while Sodexo can provide us a lot, it can only provide us so much. These businesses are businesses that are already here, and it's just exposing students to a service that they could use to access the businesses in Troy more easily for them. So students that probably are already using these businesses, and it just gives you one place to go to order things from these businesses. So I don't see how Sodexo could be offended by a service that's already in existence and already provided to students, just sort of being mildly promoted so that way they know that they can access those businesses, as well as also continuing to use Sodexo's dining services.
Mike?
I agree with that completely. Also, there's a bunch of off-campus kids who don't go on campus. So.
Yeah.
Marcus?
I was only going to add the same thing and then add the other thing that Mike said.
If anything, I think just because it's everybody's already said, it's something that's already there, already exists. Since everybody who lives on campus already has to have their meal plans, if anything, it will kind of show Sodexo what they're missing that students want, because it's just like, your options are something you've already essentially paid for, or money that's already in the system that you can either choose to use, or you can choose to pay more money to get something else. So if anything, it's kind of just Grubhub and those services can only fill in the gaps that students tried to get from Sodexo, and they can't, what they can't get. So I don't see how they're really losing anything.
Can we come in now, or are we a little early?
You're a little early, but you're welcome to come in.
Good? Okay.
The queue is now open. Hey, James?
So just a quick thing. I know that there are a lot of events that happen on campus, but they do require, Grubhub does require space, as do all events on campus. So I'd just be concerned with when they're coming. I don't know to finalize that.
The queue's open. Marcus?
I believe I might have missed part of this question. It was asking about, you were asking about where and when.
Where and when?
From what I know about it, it would just be, it would be addressed by the union, and there might be a good forum to deal with this, but they would go through most of the regular procedures that any event on campus would go through.
The queue's open. Mason?
I just wanted to say, in the document that was sent out, the request says that they are going to have 2 square tents and they have a preferable location outside, but that they'd be willing to work with us in order to determine where to put them, and they're not going to take up that much space. So I just wanted to, that was in the document.
And they're not actually,
Holly?
The document says they're not actually giving away food. It says items, and based on experience living in a different place that did Grubhub, where the promotion people were out, it's usually a coupon. So at least you're not hopefully pulling from dining on campus at that moment, but at a later date. The queue is open.
Anyone else? All right, that's going to wrap up our discussion on this, as our guest speakers are now here. I'm going to be just sending out a reminder after this email, so anyone who's interested in working on this, contact me and we can kind of get something rolling. Okay? So without further ado then, I'd like to introduce our guests. We have Carrie Drescher, Dean of Off Campus, and Erin Pelaha?
Very close, Pelaya.
Pelaya, Erin
That's the closest I've heard in a
Pelaya,
while,
the
though.
Executive Director of the Troy Business Improvement District. Take it away.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Do you want us to sit down or stand?
Whatever you
or-
prefer.
No, we can.
Maybe you could bring it over there, maybe, so we can have
Yeah, we could head there.
channel discussion. that way.
Chairs?
Thank you so much.
So, hi, everyone. I think Kyle wanted to talk about what the bid does, right? And what you guys could do to get involved downtown. Is that the focus of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Today we've formed a student community relations committee with the focus of getting involved in Troy, whether in the bid, in the neighborhood associations, or in other opportunities.
Sure, so we certainly act as an organization. I think one of our specialties is networking, whether it's, you know, among students or businesses, residents. My organization sort of has like a dual mission, and on one hand we do a lot of work right on the surface of the streets, be it beautification or safety, and on the other side we're sort of a communications, public relations, business, economic development driver. So we've got our hands in a lot of different pots, and there's certainly, you know, the downtown district is fairly diverse, so there's a lot of room to get involved. It would kind of depend on what you decided your first mission was.
And I think, from my perspective as the off-campus dean, my biggest goal in the 3 years I've been doing this has been always to increase the number of students downtown. From the perspective of the more students going downtown and shopping and seeing what Troy has to offer, the more money they're spending, hopefully, the more money they're spending at businesses, more businesses succeed and more businesses open, and it kind of feeds itself. And not that students have solely been responsible for what we've seen in Troy, but I think they play a pretty significant role and a greater role every year. I think with Blitman, with City Station for our graduate students, with Castle downtown and with Fiji going in downtown, the Chazen building, and the list goes on and on. I think every year RPI has somewhat of a greater footprint within the city of Troy, and we're seeing more students living downtown.
Right, and this year our mural project we've sort of launched.
Right.
I don't know if any of you saw the Troybot mural under the Green Island Bridge. Super exciting. And we're launching these public art projects that we call community murals. So an artist will send out a design request, and an artist will create a design and then render it to a line drawing, which will then be sort of projected on the wall in kind of a paint by numbers sort of scheme. And then we bring in community groups, be it students or college students, high school students, volunteers from different area action groups, to paint the piece. So you might not necessarily consider yourself an artist, but when you walk away from this, and I highly recommend checking it out, it's a giant mural under the Green Island Bridge. It turned what was once kind of not necessarily a wasted space, but maybe an overlooked space, and kind of created this beautification project that anybody walking by now gets to share in this public art that I think really sort of has a lot of sociological impacts, psychological impacts for the neighbors that live around there.
And so the RPI, I know NRB was there on Thursday, right? Mm-hmm. And then SAGE was there on Friday, and all participating in getting that project done. But additionally, we have events such as the upcoming Troy Night Out in September, where RPI groups will be performing at the Troy Music Hall, and also Barker Park, and then finally at the Black Box Theater, and then we'll have the unicycle group and juggling group hopefully performing outside too. So, that's just, and it's really an RPI focus. Last year we did it for the first time. We had a lot of students downtown for it. It was a great deal of success. In addition to that, thanks to Morgan, we were able to have a really successful Welcome Fest downtown this year, where we invited Sage, came over, and we had bands playing. We had fireworks at the end of the night. And these are just a couple things that we're able to do to really draw more students down. But I think the farmers market is a huge draw on a weekly basis. It's all year round. And then we also do I do the weekly newsletter that those of you who live off campus will probably receive every Friday afternoon. We do a business spotlight too, just to make students more aware of what's available in the city of Troy. Yeah.
And I think it might be difficult, especially when maybe you've just come into Troy and you haven't necessarily seen the evolution of how downtown has progressed. But I've lived here since 2007, and it has been a tremendous change even since then. So the idea of partnering with, whether you're going to live here for 4 years or 6 years or whatever, residents and people that care about the neighborhood and the downtown community is really important to us, because it's still growing. So what you're saying is maybe, level 4 of, I don't know how many there will be, but you're seeing this evolution happen right now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've lived here for the exact same amount of time as Aaron. We moved there in 2007, and the changes have been drastic. And there's a lot more that, we're hoping for. In a time, I think we will continue to see this growth and revitalization. But, it's really been, I would say, in the last 3 years, it's just been this really has taken off. And some businesses succeed, some might not. But I think overwhelmingly we're seeing a greater amount of success. And as a result, I think that's drawing more students. And, there's a student discount program as another way of promoting what's in Troy for the students. What else?
Yeah, and your input and your demand plays a large role in that revitalization. I am constantly asking, when I get the chance to meet face to face with different student groups, like, what do you want to see? What's important to you? And I get a lot of the same answers. Later hours, different places to go that aren't just bars. A place where I can buy school supplies, department stores, movie theaters. So we hear that, but I think that you are residents here. Even, like I said, even if it is transitional. So what you're looking for in a community is important to that growth and where it goes. So your involvement's important to us too.
So what can we answer for you guys though about what's going on?
All right, the queue's now open, so Lexi?
I agree, like Troy downtown has drastically improved since I was a freshman here over the 4 years. One thing, I guess this is more for Dean Drescher, is on Saturdays, I believe the shuttle only goes until about 5 p.m. So that kind of inhibits some individuals from going to downtown Troy Saturday night, which is, often something kids want to do.
Absolutely. So what we have in addition, you're absolutely right. So the shuttle will run from the early morning to about 4:30, back and forth between the campus and then the Uncle Sam bus stop. That area is the reason they stop it then is the city wants, because you can ride the Capital District Transit Authority CDTA buses for free with your student ID, and the smaller buses actually pick up right in the Horseshoe and will take you right downtown. So that's an option for you to consider. Additionally, the shuttles do continue to run between campus and Blitman, so you could always take it to Blitman and then walk down from there down Fulton or Broadway into town. But you're right, it doesn't run right down the Monument Square past 4:30 on Friday. Frankly, that was in addition, having it run to that location was something we worked, myself and Dean Hunt worked with Parking and Transportation really to create, and they will, they'll often have new bus routes, but if they're not utilized, they'll do away with them because it's just not worth their time or effort. So I think it's a real testament to how much interest there is from campus for them to even have it continue for over a year now to doing those Saturday run down to the city. Now I think now might be a good time, and I can visit this with Park and Transportation about maybe expanding that because of the success we've had already. And there's a chance they might be willing to do that. I'd be more than happy to ask them if they would consider that.
James?
Is there any way to get involved with the community in Troy without spending money? Like, because you've mentioned a few examples of going down and spending money in the stores, but is there any other way?
Yeah, I mean, volunteering groups, I mean, there's a lot, I mean, between St. Joseph's House, I know Unity House, to name two, that are always looking for volunteers in the community.
And then like the public art projects, and then there's a lot of groups I know that you have on campus that are maybe, you know, looking for places to perform or to exhibit their work, be it art, you know, whatever it is. And I think that what I have found in my network of businesses, property owners, et cetera, residents, that they're really looking for more people to just create a lifestyle, you know, create like, we want to come down and we want to play music in Monument Square. Okay, great, come down, play music. You know, we can facilitate those sort of bridges. And in terms of community efforts, there are some really great not-for-profits besides the bid downtown that would be more than happy to have extra hand.
Now, it's right before finals, but the Victorian Stroll in December is always a big one where they're looking for volunteers. Since Cynthia Smith does a big program at the Chazen Building, but additionally, they're always looking for volunteers for Victorian Stroll. So, you know, to give an example of one event in particular.
Tina?
I just wanted to clarify a point that was said. The shuttle on Saturday does stop running the entire west route at 5 p.m.
That's down to Blipman too?
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay, I thought it went,
that's
I
why
thought it went later, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
when we redid the CDTA route, that was a big...
That's the reason they did it?
Yeah, and we looked into that.
Okay.
Just so that no one got confused.
Yeah,
So
they
that
should
the
clarify.
west
I thought
route
that went
stops at
later.
5 p.m.
Okay.
I guess myself. What are some of the successful events that the BID has put on in the past like few years that's really you would like to see more students at?
Sure. Well, we have like our trademark. We get involved in a lot of different events, whether or not there's something that we put on solely through our office. You know, we are the supporters and organizers of Turn It Out, which is the last Friday of every month. It's sort of a come explore, and that's another thing that you don't have to come spend money. I thought my, you know, walking around during the last event, there was just random music playing. There were, you know, free things at different art galleries, and it was just kind of an excuse to be out in downtown on a great summer night and just kind of explore and see other people. So it's more of a social thing, but free. It could be free if you wanted to, if you worked at it. And then we do the River Street Arts Fest in June, which is all of River Street shuts down, and we have vendors out and music. All of our events that we put on are free. So then we move from that into Rockin' on the River, which is every Wednesday night, and then we move into Chowder Fest, which is this October 12th. Awesome event, super excited. Yeah, it's great. $1 samples, you can eat chowder until you can't eat anymore, or we run out. And then, oh, the Pig Out, we do the Pig Out as well. Pig Out's in July, so if you're into barbecue, that's kind of a great way. We bring in competitors. It's an actual barbecue competition. So we bring, if you like barbecue, it's a great chance to sample people from all over the company, their barbecue, or country, their barbecue. Then we partnered with the Victorian Stroll. This year we partnered with the Knickerbocker Film Festival. They brought it to Troy for one night to debut their pieces. We're also partnering with, or sponsoring the Screen Print Biennial. Nathan Meltz, who's a professor here, is putting that together. It's the first time it's ever going to be launched. There's going to be lots of public art installed all through downtown and all throughout the city.
When is that?
Gosh, that's happening this week. They're going to start installing, and he's bringing in artists from all over the country as well. We partner with Welcome Fest. We do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things, and that's the best part about it is that even if it's not through the bid, there's a lot going on that as long as we have word, you know, or we hear about it, we'll do our best to promote it and get the information out there. It's gotten to the point where as somebody who is trying to document and promote all the activities, I actually can't keep up. There's more that happens than I can keep up with. Barker Park's a great example. I mean, they're kind of functioning as their own, the Troy Savings Bank Music Foundation sponsored just a whole summer's full of events, and there was Shakespeare in the Park, there's lots of children's events, and I mean, we honestly couldn't even keep up. The Troy Savings Bank Music Hall is a great venue as well. They'll constantly do like free shows, free programming, free tours, especially for students. They're really friendly with that.
Yeah, no, they really are. Yeah,
they are.
And you know, and people from the university do get involved. I mean, you know, the Christina Lowry Smith was in the Shakespeare in the Park this summer, So if anybody knows Christina from up in Res Life, she was actively engaged in that. But in the pig out, I might have competed 2 years for this past year.
We missed you.
I was shockingly, I did not miss being. But it's so hot.
It's so hot.
It's ridiculous hot this year.
Hard work. It's such. I didn't know barbecue was such hard work. It's like serious business. You cannot mess with these barbecue people.
And some of these people are hardcore.
Oh,
like thousands of dollars worth of smokers, and they all pull up.
Secret recipes.
Oh,
they plan it in their trailers and don't let anybody see anything. It was
hard.
eye-opening.
Yeah, very much so. So it's a fun event, though. I mean, and Chowderfest is coming up. I would say like what you say. Downtime would be between January and like spring, as those months are a little slower.
And certainly being the geographical location that we are here in upstate New York, most of our festivals take place in the warm weather. You do have, like I said, October Chowderfest, and then you have the Victorian Stroll, which is December 7th, I think. First Sunday in December,
yeah.
I think so. And then we are launching a kilt run sort of Irish Fest for St. Patrick's Day. So we're trying to move into the
spring.
Yeah.
Turkey Trot.
Turkey Trot is in November. It's a great race. Yep, it's true. I would love to see. I mean, there's a great collection of Tiffany glass here in downtown Troy. Amazing, like world-renowned collections. I would really like to see like a celebration of glass in that industry there, the artistry of that. But if anybody wants to start it, contact my office.
And I think one of the things Erin's done and a great job with is really. Reaching out to both the Sage and RPI and really making, not exclusively a college town, but making it more of a college town feel for our students that are here. And there's quite a few of them, between the two schools.
I was very proud with the mural project, and we're going to be doing more of those because I mean, you have to go see this. It's a great piece of art, and like I said, especially like I can't draw for anything. I'm a photographer, like I don't draw, but this technique allowed these students to create this awesome piece of public art, and they're going to own that wall forever. Like they're going to bring their parents, it's always going to mean something to them. It's going to really be an imprint of their college years here. So.
And you work with Barb Nelson on that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Barb Nelson
here.
Yeah. So, what else? What other questions do you guys have?
Molly? So, thinking about students and what they need, I think sometimes our students do need to reach out to the community to promote something like, for instance, I'm thinking about like the arcade players have productions and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of opportunity like at the farmers market or in other places where a student group could promote an event on campus, and who would they contact and what would that look like?
Sure. The farmers market is actually the farmers market is its own entity, and they partner with the city. We obviously know those people and could certainly point groups in the right direction. And then, at any one of our events, we would be open to having people table to promote their events coming up. But yeah, the farmers market is great for that.
Would there be any fee associated with that, even though it's not your group?
I can't speak for the farmers market, but they seem very open to setting up a table, especially for community student events like that. I should mention also Restaurant Week is next week, and there's a bunch of, if you go to our website, downtowntroybid.org, there's a bunch of restaurants doing $5, $10 lunches, $10 dinners, like it's really good deals there. But yeah, if they reached out, and certainly my office can act as like a networking agency, even if it's not our event or, we're responsible for it, we could certainly point people in the right direction.
The queue's open. Conrad?
Who would they contact in order to advertise it?
The best email to reach anyone in my office is info@troybid.org, and everyone in my office, myself and my part-time person, will see that. Very big staff.
Other questions? Yeah.
And our Facebook page is also still a great source of information, because we'll share everybody in the district, like we'll share all their information. It's a great way to find out like who's doing deals, the specials, free giveaways, all sorts of stuff. There's lots of good stuff going on.
Queue's open. Okay, I'll just call on myself then. What are some of the ways that you see students getting more involved in Troy? Like how would you like that progression to be?
Well, I mean, I think, from long term, I think having students stay here after graduation is always a huge thing. I think, the more innovative entrepreneurial businesses that open up in Troy, I think that's, we see more students staying around the area. And I think that's great. It just adds that much more to it. During their years in school, I mean, I think volunteering for different events is one way.
Yeah, and I think the bridge between the campus activities is a great way. Like, there's no reason why we're always trying to get you guys to come down the hill. There's no reason why we can't go see some of the performances and promote those things as well. Like, I think it goes both ways. So.
Shoshana?
What kind of comparisons do you see between RPI's involvement with Troy and maybe SAGE's involvement? Do you find that like we're different populations, that we have different needs, or we're very similar? Do we have similar levels of engagement?
Institutionally, I think that both of your campuses do a stellar job of getting you involved and definitely keeping in touch with us. Like, we have a board member from SAGE and from RPI with our board, so we do stay connected in that sense. As students, I mean, your basic necessities as humans seem to be the same, but for sure there's a difference in the areas of study that you specialize in here versus there. I mean, there's definitely like the geographical, you know, if you go over to SAGE area, you're gonna see a lot of SAGE students in Brugger's or at Moss, you know, versus maybe the difference of you here. I don't know that you're such different people, but is there something more specific you could add to the question? I guess
I just wanted to understand from your perspective, because I know from RPI's perspective, we're trying to work closer with SAGE.
Right.
There's always an interest about meeting those students, and so I'm wondering,
right,
from your perspective, you know, to understand them better from a Troy business perspective, I guess more out of curiosity.
Yeah, I think Welcome Fest this year was a great example of this, the schools coming together and kind of this like, why haven't we ever done this before, you know, because right, you're college students in the same town at the same time. I mean, while you might be studying, you know, different things or have different goals for moving on afterwards or what have you, I mean, you're probably have a lot more in common than you might even consider. I think that more events like that, more networking events between the campuses would be great, and downtown being like kind of a central area would be a great facilitator of those sort of events. I think it would only benefit both student bodies.
Lexi?
This is just a brief question. I don't know if this is already happening, but obviously we're a big engineering school and a lot of people have to do their capstone courses. Have you ever thought of reaching out to the different capstone groups on campus to see if they can do a project in Troy as opposed to like for a company or just for proof of purpose?
I think the city has, haven't they? Or
I don't know. I don't know. If
I thought that there were I had heard rumors, these awesome rumors of students building great things downtown for projects, but I haven't seen it in my time yet, but that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I don't know if they have.
Okay.
So just a personal point, could you tell us a little bit about this upcoming restaurant week? I can see the advertisements for it everywhere.
Yeah, so we have, I mean, most of our restaurants will do something. We have about 15, a core group of 15 restaurants that are offering some really great promos. All the promos are up on our website. I've been filming all week little mini snippets for each restaurant. We're going to start releasing those on Facebook and social media probably starting tomorrow. But restaurant weeks are tough because they're great for the consumer. They're awesome because you're coming in and you're getting to sample stuff from the restaurant at a really great price. It's a hard week having run restaurants and coming from that background. It's really hard. I don't know if you've ever worked in a restaurant, but it's a tough week because you're just like, it's a tough week for restaurants. It's not easy, but they really go all out and they've come up with some really creative menus, really trying to put their best foot forward to get new customers, and at a great price point. A lot of different areas offer like a, you know, taste of this or taste of that or a restaurant week. And we kind of we stuck with sort of a basic, because we have so many different types of restaurants. We have 7 international chefs in the downtown area alone. And people don't know that. We're trying to get the word out that there is actually a lot of diverse cuisine here in Troy. But we thought the price point approach was the best way to allow them all to do something that fit into their categories. I mean, even like Famous Lunch, he's been there for 3 generations since 1932, right? And he's like, well, I've got 4 hot dogs and a soda for $4.50. It's below your price point. I'm like, well, then run it, you know, like promote it. That's great. That's a great price point for somebody, you know. So it's really an excuse just to kind of get people acquainted with the fact that there are so many restaurants in our little downtown, you know, and they offer a really varied menus. It's kind of an excuse to get you in there and get you full and not break the bank.
And I think, and then building off of that, there's a lot more restaurants opening up in the near future, right? Some of you might remember in the past, there used to be a food truck that used to be outside called Slide and Dirty. If you remember that, but they're opening up on First Street. Signs up. I don't know what is there an opening date?
They were hoping September, but they're rehabbing this historic building, so that never goes to plan. It's always delayed, but they were hoping September at some point.
Okay.
It's the exciting thing is that we open, every month, like 3 or 4 new businesses. So there's constantly a changing landscape. Infinity Cafe just opened up in River Street Lofts on Lower River, and those are 2 RPI graduates who own the property, right?
Right, and they used to be up in Lansingburg. They moved south.
It's just kind of great basic home cooked diner food at a really low price point. So it's nice to see that in addition to, you can go out and get your $22 entree, but I can go get a $4.50 breakfast there, which helps.
It's 10% off for students with ID too.
Nice. Student discounts abound.
Mike Daddy Flats. I don't know if anybody.
Oh yeah, he just moved to 3rd. Yeah.
The 3rd, right?
Yep. Oh, he's great.
So
he's so good to students as well.
He's a great guy. Dan's a very nice guy. He was here at the off-campus fair the other week. He's, it's a much bigger location. He will do really well there. So that's another. I think there's a Mexican restaurant opening up in the near future.
Supposed to be another Mexican restaurant. The little old Troy pork store that's across from the Brown Bag is going to be a more like a New York City style deli.
Oh wow.
I shouldn't probably have said that. That might have been confidential.
Oh.
Sorry. We're used to recording. Oops. Just like edit that. What's up?
Nibble's going in.
Nibble Inc. is going in where the old Francesca's was on Broadway and 5th. And that's homemade donuts, and they locally source like all of their ingredients. There's it's gotten to the point where it gets hard to keep track of them.
Yeah. So, what else?
The queue's open. Kyle?
So, we have heard a little bit about a comprehensive plan for the development of Troy. I was wondering if you could tell us a little more about this.
It's more the mayor's office.
Yeah, there is going to be a comprehensive plan. It's something I think most cities are sort of moving in that direction to hire some sort of outside consult to kind of give an overview of here to, let's say, 2030 or what have you. I really don't have, I know that some of the plan does involve waterfront development, marina development.
So it was something that was in the works for quite a long time. I think it started initially during the previous administration, during the Tutanchen administration, and then the Rosemilla folks moved in, and so something that took a while to get rolling, but they had I can't remember, I think 15, 16 different proposals, and they've chosen the one organization, and I cannot remember the name of that offhand.
They're Canadian, right?
They're Canadian, they're at Toronto, I believe,
so.
who is doing the comprehensive plan. So that is moving forward. And like Aaron said, waterfront development's part of it. If you go down on Monument Square, on the right-hand side, you can see this big empty
We lovingly
pit.
call it the pit.
The pit. And that is the old City Hall location, which was torn down. And that, they've chosen a company that's coming in to develop that. I think that was last February or March, and so that's going to be commercial space.
And then that will continue the proposed talk, and of course a lot of this depends on funding, is that there would be an outside boardwalk built outside of Dinosaur to connect that landscaped riverfront property where the pit is now, and then you could actually be on a boardwalk on the river. And then up beyond underneath the Green Island Bridge where we painted Troy-Bot, that's going to get all landscaped out to a newly developed marina. Funding, planning.
Yeah.
We're hoping, it could all, you never know. It's obviously going to depend on, there's a lot of steps in the process. You can drop as many really pretty architectural designs as you want, but we have to see where it goes. I don't really have any confirmation on Space Needle. Just throw it out there.
So but it's going to be, the comprehensive plan I think will give them a good direction on where they want to go, in the next decade or so. and the continued revitalization of Troy. And Troy's kind of unique. I mean, I grew up west of here, outside of Utica, and a lot of central New York cities are not doing what Troy's doing. They've been deteriorating for decades, and they really haven't turned the corner in a lot of places. So you're really in a unique location where you're seeing this really forward momentum in an upstate New York City, which is really, not too long ago was unheard of. So, and so it's a really interesting place to be. And I think the comprehensive plan will only further that progression, helping it move forward.
And kind of tying in the discussion earlier with, you're a huge engineering school, and what sort of involvement would we love to see? Like, I don't know how many sort of studies or activities you get involved with as students in doing just kind of like city survey work. I mean, I'd love to see like solar lighting downtown. There's some of our streets that are sorely in need of lighting, and how do we create sustainable options and solutions to those problems? I would support wholeheartedly some sort of civic effort to get something like that initiated.
The queue is now open.
Okay. If that's all, thank you guys very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You can always email me with any suggestions or ideas that you have, or for that matter, but you can, anytime, feel free to email me with any thoughts that you have, because it's always great to get feedback. So.
Yeah, and we rely on, it's a good city and good thought-provoking discussion, depends on new insights, so here you are. Let us know,
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, so we have a few more items on the agenda tonight, but we're going to fly through them. First, I just want to give a reminder to all of our senators in the room. Committees started meeting this past week, and all committees will be holding a meeting this coming week. As a senator, it's your requirement to be a part of 2 committees or a chair of 1. If you're a graduate, being a part of 1 committee is enough, but you're welcome to join more if you'd like. So just as the committee chairs give their reports, keep your ears open for their meeting times and make sure you attend the required amount this week. After that, we have Hockey Line going on right now. The finale event is beginning outside any minute. Teams are going to be out there all night tonight, and we'll have a free skate tomorrow alongside a number of different activities. There are schedules all over campus. They've gone out to the residence hall lists and to the teams. So stop by, even if you're not planning on buying tickets. There's plenty of fun events. I encourage you to buy tickets, of course, because hockey's a great time. It's an amazing thing to experience here at RPI. But stop by the events at the bare minimum and be a part of this great tradition. So finally, we're putting a big emphasis on growing membership in the various committees right now. So if you know any friends or anyone else who's interested in getting involved, or who's even passionate about a specific issue that you or others may be working on, connect them to one of your committee chairs and just show them how easy it is to become a part of what's going on in the Senate. So that concludes my report. We're going to move on to committee reports. Melanie, RNA.
So freshman elections are coming up. They're on the 22nd and the 25th. There's a lot of senators running. I think there's like 8. So that's exciting. A lot of interest. Yeah, it's crazy. So that'll be a fun week for me. Okay. And Paul and Joe. Okay.
How's the website?
How's the website? I'm going to email Gabe a list of all the candidates, and he's putting the candidates out there because I don't have like the back end way, whatever. But yeah, and then we put the nominations on, so it's good.
All right. Communications, Gavin.
We will be having our first meeting this week, Thursday at 4 Union 3511. So I hope to see you there. Bring a friend maybe, but I'll be there, so it'll be a good time. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Marcus, AAC.
We're going to be meeting Thursday at 7 p.m. We got quite a few good ideas on our last meeting. We've got a lot of projects that we want to work on. We've got a good number of people. We still would like more, so in that way everybody can work on what they'd like to.
Thank you very much. Michael, facilities?
So a lot of people complained about the time, so we're changing it to 5 o'clock on Tuesdays. I'm going to send out an email to the Senate and FSC list like right after this meeting. Let's see. So we're going to talk about appointing a publicity chair and vice chair for the committee. So if you're interested in those positions, please let me know. And Light Walk is going to be the Monday after freshman elections for now, so September 29th. So keep that open on your calendar. It's going to be like right after the Senate meeting.
Thank you very much. Lexi, student life.
So we had our first meeting last Wednesday and brainstormed project ideas like most other meetings. And this week we'll be focusing on our publicity strategy and finalizing our project ideas. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, to come check out the committee, even if you're not planning on staying on it. It's from 6 to 7 in SGS on Wednesday. Thank you.
All right. Gabe, WebTech.
Alright, so we'll be meeting again this Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the SGS right outside of our office. If you have no idea what WebTech does, this would probably be a good time to come along because we have a few other freshmen who are interested. So I'll be showing them a few of our projects and what we do. Thanks.
Okay. And Morgan, community relations.
Well, at least we're alive. So that's a start. I'm going to be holding the meeting probably. The first one is going to be next week, most likely on Thursday, and I'll email out the time for that.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to constituent reports. Shoshana, Executive Board.
So last week the executive board met for the first time this year, and we approved a budget for women's soccer, which is great because now they can practice at an actual driving range. We also got a sneak preview of the union website. So our current union website, aesthetically, is pretty outdated, so that's a big core focus, but also there's a huge emphasis on club integration. So every club, new, funded, affiliated, what have you, will have a section of the website where they'll be able to post what they're about, their meeting times, all links to their social media, and an external website if they choose to use it. And then right now, since the website skeleton is mostly built, we're really focusing on getting the content together. So we need dedicated student leaders to volunteer and help contact these different groups and collect that content. Because unfortunately, while we try to go out and research the different clubs' descriptions, meeting times, it's not always up to date on their website, so it's hard to get in contact and get that correct information. So if anyone's really passionate about seeing this website come together, it's going to be really influential for having a club event calendar so that when you want to know what fun things are going on, you can go to one resource instead of trying to ask like 50 of your friends what's going on. In terms of UAR, we normally meet Tuesdays at 6, but because it's hockey line, I'm going to give my club members a break, so we're not meeting this week, but I'm going to be contacting them to move forward the week after.
Okay, thank you very much. Graduate Council.
Kristen's not here tonight, so I'll be giving our report. We're hosting a town hall meeting with Dean Dunn this Wednesday at 5 p.m. This is for graduate students to discuss a new fee that's been added to our bills. He's going to discuss and answer questions in regards to that fee. We're getting polos, which I guess are cooler than the Senate polos.
Yeah.
This is Mike's notes.
I could tell.
Can we just send them?
When are we getting our instructions?
We're working on setting up our grad hockey night. That's probably going to be in February. And we're also planning on having our wine and cheese night the week after Thanksgiving. We'll probably be tentatively right now, it's December 5th. They decided on a new senator, which is me. Elected an e-board rep, Courtney. I don't know if you guys have met with her yet. And we also picked a faculty senate grad rep and voted on an R&E grad rep.
Who were the reps?
For e-board, her name's Courtney. I don't have too much info in regards to that.
Courtney Lang, she was an e-board rep 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Jen Kyle is the faculty senate grad rep, and then Nimit Dilkar is going to be the rules and elections grad rep.
All right, thank you very much. Interfraternity Council, James.
All right, so public dorm storming ended Saturday. There's an IFC and handheld blood drive going on 9/11. Hazing Prevention Week is September 22nd to the 26th. We have a new IFC e-board starting in November. Letters for Letters is back on in the DCC. Bid Commitment Day is the 19th. Run to Remember, which is a 5K race for I think it's a sergeant in the military who was injured. That is September 20th. Greek Week is October 20th to the 24th. And on the very serious note, everyone in the Greek committee is very upset over Father's not having Arizona iced tea anymore, and also Monster. And that is it.
Michael, take notes. All right, Hannah, Morgan.
Okay, well, the only thing that, for us, that James didn't mention was, for us, we have recruitment starting on the 11th, going till the 14th. And that's open to everyone who's a female.
Undergrad female.
Yeah, undergrad female.
Okay, thank you very much. So this concludes all of our reports. Do we have any unfinished or new business? Any questions from press or visitors? Minutes. Minutes. Oh, the minutes. Thank you, Shoshana. Paul, what's up?
Yeah, a page is missing, and apparently, where's the? Yes. As Joe noticed, in the minutes, the Hospitality Services Advisory Committee is said to be running for the duration of the 25th student set.
Okay. Are we okay with that correction?
I think that's a typo, yes.
All right. I think with regards to the last page, it's probably just a printer issue.
No,
isn't it?
it's not the last page. It's like a page in the middle is missing.
Okay. Do we want to table this approval until next week and get the middle page, or are you okay approving this spot? Then, if there's no further discussion, we're going to approve these minutes at next week's meeting. Okay. All right, that's going to be everything. Thank you guys for coming. Remember, there's Miracle outside right now with the hockey players, so stop by, watch, say hello, make some friends. Meeting adjourned.